Hi, everyone, and welcome to Cyber Knowledge Partners Straight Talk Forum, where we're going to cut through the noise and we're going to bring real world cybersecurity conversations to the table. So, today we're exploring how CEOs and boards can navigate massive transformation and cyber risk in an AI driven world. So, joining Catherine and me today is Gwen Kinsey. So, Gwen is an expert in future readiness and organizational change. So, Gwen, thank you so much for being here and joining the conversation. So, what do you see on the horizon for executives?
What comes to mind is that 8.8 earthquake that Russia experienced this week. It unleashed tsunami waves all across the globe, including as far as the western shores of the United States. We're facing sort of an AI earthquake of our own, right? And the tsunami waves that it's unleashing are going to transform business, transform leadership. And before we get too focused on that and the tsunami, it's also one of those big waves is cybercrime. And cybercrime is not static, it's completely changing. In fact, just this week, there were two organizations who design AI agents for their customers. And in both of those instances, someone injected a malicious prompt into those AI agents. Now, malicious prompts basically direct that AI agent to do things that are not intended at all. Unfortunately, something like that can impact operations in an organization for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, Linda, one of the things that we notice that's changing, and we're still having some conversations with customers and board members, is that they're still seeing cyber as compliance. They hit the NIST standard, they've got the software, they've done the checklists, and I'm not sure that that's given the shock waves that are coming, that is still a viable approach.
I mean, exactly. I mean, cyber is a core business risk. It's just as serious as financial or reputational threats. And, boards need to be discussing cyber on a regular basis. It's not just an IT update or a technical update. It's got to be part of their overall strategy. I mean, prevention and resilience around cyber must be built into the organization. It just can't be added when something goes wrong, when they're screaming for help.
Right. And that it's another business risk. It's a risk that has to be accepted, mitigated. We've spoken to many organizations who are now starting to realize that they have to look at that as another business risk. How could this impact EBITDA? What's going to be the risk to our customers? It's another risk area that needs strategic treatment.
We haven't talked about culture yet, but it matters too. Boards set the tone. They don't have to be technical experts. I think that's a misunderstanding. They do need to be situationally aware, though, and that's a shift in their mindset. They've got to be able to ask the right questions. So that situational awareness is what helps prepare them for that.
So let me tell a story. So recently, I was speaking to the chairman of the board of a major bank. And after they had had multiple cybersecurity briefings, the board had never asked a single question. And she couldn't figure out why. So, in discussions with the board members, she realized it's because they just don't understand cyber and they didn't know what to ask. And frankly, they were a little intimidated. So the solution wasn't a crash course in IT because that wasn't going to help. It was ongoing education from a trusted advisor to provide basic knowledge around cyber so they'd feel comfortable asking the right questions. Unfortunately, many boards don't know what they don't know until after a crisis. So thank God they took some action proactively.
Right. And that proactive piece is one of our strong points with Cyber Knowledge Partners, going in, helping the boards understand how to ask those questions, giving them the context, helping them to integrate that cyber risk and the strategies and tactics into the company and inject that as part of those strategic objectives that the board is managing for every other type of business aspect for the company.
When you're looking at change, that catastrophic tectonic shift plates, right? At the scale that we're talking about, there's a lot of uncertainty that is a part of that. And that fear translates in a variety of ways. think about traditionally board members are recruited for what? Their expertise. And here we are saying, well, maybe you're not an expert in all of the things that you need to be, but we need you to be comfortable asking the right questions and participating in being creative problem solvers because of how closely cyber vulnerability is linked to business impacts. So there's probably four shifts initially that I'd suggest. Number one is that situational awareness that I keep banging on because you've got to be able to connect the technical vulnerabilities to those business impacts. Our IT people can't do that. We need board members and CEOs and CISOs to be able to, anticipate those. The next thing is to frankly rethink governance because if you have people who are so siloed in their expertise, it's hard to bring cyber into that strategic focus. So we got to rethink governance there. Also, the questions that they ask, that's how we spot vulnerabilities early, because we probably do have blind spots. And in order to respond to that, we also have to reallocate resources quickly, which again, that's board level responsibility. And the final piece, and I want to emphasize this again, is to normalize uncertainty because that not inability to ask good questions means that that's just more opportunity for us not to figure out where our vulnerabilities are. And those questions are how we embody leadership strength. It's not a weakness. That's our strength, is to be curious. One last comment too is AI has changed not just cyber and how it is that, those things ripple through an organization, but even social media, how they have the opportunity now to use and weaponize AI to make even our employees' families and our friends and families vulnerable as weak entry points is something that I think we're just starting to grapple with. So lots of change happening in the atmosphere, lots of opportunity for uncertainty.
Yeah, and Linda, you recently talked to some of our customers about some of the mindset shift that you've been driving in some of the boards that you're part of, as well as one of the focus areas that we talk to our customers. And I know you have a ton of stories, but what is the one mindset shift that they should start making now?
Well, I think it's stop treating cyber like it's a technical checklist.
Mhm.
I have sat on boards where cyber is part of the audit committee and maybe on the agenda every second or third meeting. You can't do that. You've got to approach cyber as a strategic, enterprise-wide risk management priority. It has to be something that you discuss all the time. That's the only way you're going to build resiliency, incorporating cyber into the fabric of the organization.
Yeah, and it's becoming a little bit of a hot topic. I attended an IT conf or an AI cybersecurity conference 2 weeks ago, and the discussions are starting to happen where people are starting to realize that shift, where they have to um, look at the impact to the business and to most importantly the customers. How is our resiliency plan? Do we just have a we know to pick up the phone when the ransomware attack happens? No, it's building all of that strategy into
Mm.
the approach that the company has built.
And it's easier to do, isn't it, when there's open and honest dialogue on an ongoing basis. And that
Yeah.
means confronting that uncertainty head on, acknowledging it and exploring it for what it is so we can lead with confidence.
Cyber risk, as you said, Gwen, it touches everyone. It touches your partners, it touches your employees, it touches any director or anyone else that has access to your systems and to your networks.
Sure.
I mean, risk thinking can't be occasional. It's got to be on a daily basis, and it has to be something everyone is engaged with. So if you're a board member or a CEO or an advisor navigating today's cyber landscape, leadership isn't just about knowing every technical detail. It's about being informed, it's about being proactive, and it's about being ready to guide your organization through any uncertainty.
Mhm.
So, Gwen, thank you so much for joining us today on Cyber Straight Talk. It's been a real pleasure having you with us for the conversation.
Well, thank you, Catherine and Linda, for the invitation. I enjoyed our conversation as well.
So for our listeners, for any additional information or insights, please subscribe to Cyber Straight Talk on Substack, and or you can follow us on LinkedIn. So until our next conversation. Stay resilient.